Welcome back to New to Medical Device Sales. I am your host, Jacob McLaughlin, and today I am so excited to bring you guys our guest. Today we have the honor of having Jonathan Shyy on our podcast, and Jonathan is someone who is still in college and just accepted a job offer with one of the top medical device sales companies in the world. And that's just super exciting, first off, and two, it's incredible. I've never heard of that happening. So we're excited to have Jonathan on to share his story and share how he still has college left, but he accepted a job with a top company in the world and see what that looks like for him. So, Jonathan, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hop on the podcast with us.
Thanks for having me on, Jacob.
Yes, man. Dude, so you're 22, you're still in college, and yet you just landed an associate job with one of the top companies in the world. Kind of tell us about that. How'd you handle that with, a lot of times they want that 4-year degree, a lot of times they want that sales experience. So how did you come in here being in college still and get a job offer?
Yeah, well, thanks again, Jacob, for having me on. I think the biggest thing with these kind of roles is you really got to want it. You got to show your drive. I think the biggest thing, especially with medical device, it's hard to get in. There's a lot of requirements. When you look at job listings, it's going to say a lot of times, 2 years of orthopedic surgery experience, at least like 3 years of B2B, or you got to be in medical sales college. But I think the biggest thing is that if you're a top performer, it doesn't matter what kind of background you've had, what kind of requirements you've filled. There's always space. There's always a space for a top performer. It doesn't matter what you've done. Yeah, I'm still in college. They actually moved the requirements around just for me because they saw that I'm going to be graduating in about a month and a half. I haven't even graduated yet, but they said as long as you finish your graduation, which I'm on track for, you're hired on. But the biggest thing is they're not going to just hire anyone. If you're a top performer, like I said, you're going to get hired on. But you really got to show that drive, and it comes down to research, knowing what you want, learning about what you need to know. And I think that's the biggest thing. And thankfully, they saw something in me. Even not having a lot of the B2B experience, not even finishing college yet. But yeah, I'm excited to land the opportunity that I have, and yeah, I'm really glad that I'm where I'm at.
That's awesome, man. And again, congratulations on landing that job. That's absolutely huge. And like you said, for everyone listening out there, right? They can tell when you're different. They can tell when you're hungry. They can tell when you're going to go and make a difference out there. And that's something. Even just the first couple minutes of you talking, man, you have that high energy. You have that. You're going to come in and you're sure of yourself, and that makes a huge difference when you're going through this interview process. When you know who you are and what you're going to do when you get in. And again, we know we're going to have a lot to learn, but when you're confident, you're like, I don't care what the obstacle is, I'm going to figure it out. That goes a long way. So taking a step back, Jonathan, how did you find medical device sales? What made you attracted to medical device sales while you're still in college? What was like, hey, that's the career path I want to go towards right now?
Yeah, so I've always been an athlete. Might have not been the best athlete, but throughout high school, I played baseball and basketball. So unfortunately, I've gone through three major surgeries. Unfortunately, one I've torn. I don't know how this was possible. I tore the ACL in both knees on separate occasions. One through baseball and one in basketball, and I've also dislocated my ankle. So I had to get a I don't even really know what it's called, but I have a huge scar on the left side of my ankle. So I've gone through my share of surgeries, and with that, you're working with. I mean, you're not really working with. You're getting operated on by surgeons, obviously. And the first time I've actually seen or heard anything about the industry is I saw people walking in and out of the clinics when I would go in for checkups, getting seeing the orthopedic surgeons. I would see people walking in with suits and stuff, and I would asked my surgeon, like, are those guys just like coming from work, or are those like, who are they? And they're like, oh, that's my rep. And I was like, oh, what? And then apparently that was one of the reps that was actually in my case doing when I was having my ACL surgery. So I kind of learned about that, learned about the company that rep was from, and kind of learned about that industry, because while it was a difficult and hard experience for me dealing with the ACL surgery, it was gratifying to know that there are people out there that are providing products for these surgeons to help people get back on their feet again. And I felt with that and the opportunity to do the same and give back to people would be something I want to be a part of. And I continue to do research. I'll give a big shout out to, there's one podcast that went coming up through college that's really helped me. His name is Colby Wood with the Medical Sales Certification Podcast. Learned a lot through that. He was one of the first persons I've ever heard talk about the industry and what it's like, and learning more about that. And then I found you, and also found Scott and Sarah on Legacy Now Coaching, and just all of that really came together at the perfect time with this is my senior year of college, and I was looking to break into the industry, and I was going to do whatever it takes. And you guys came along on YouTube, and it's history ever since. But yeah, I'm just really excited.
I love it, man. Yeah, and funny enough, Colby was actually who I started when I did. He was the only person that I knew at the time that had anything out. So that's, I deep dive, listened to all 100 of them. And then, Scott and Sarah, like you said, love those guys, and being able to have their advice, because Scott's been in the industry for so long, same with Sarah. So they give a different aspect. But yeah, it's awesome that you're able to use these resources that we go, and again, just fine tune it to what works for you, right? When we say this stuff, it's just general, and then you have to put your own scenario in it and make that happen. So again, that's amazing that you're able to see it at such a young age. Cause like I said, as you can have seen my story, I didn't even figure out what this was till last year, and I'm 25, now I'm 26, so being able to see it at such a young age, that's super great. So now getting more into that interview process, can you kind of give us a deep dive, how many companies did you really like interview with? And then how do you feel like you stood out to, be one of the top candidates when you were going through these interviews?
Yeah, so for me, I interviewed with the company that I interned with this past summer. So I interviewed with them, and I also interviewed for 2 opportunities with the same company that I'm at right now. And so while I didn't have that many interviews, I was confident in myself, because I knew what I wanted, and it actually, I felt, pushed me to really give it all I had in these 3 different interview opportunities, because I knew this was it. If I wanted to break in, this is my chance. The longer that you wait, a year, waiting another year in B2B, and you even mentioned you might go to the B2B route and you don't perform there, and then you got to answer to those numbers.
Yep.
I was just thinking about all the different situations if I don't get this role. So I did have 3 interviews, but I felt like that just focusing on those 3 really pushed me as hard as I could. And I prepared as hard as I could during these quarantine months, and was able to land 2 different offers at the company I'm with, and one of the other companies that I interviewed with, and really, really excited. It was definitely not an easy process, but like you said, if you want it, you really, really got to show, and they can read it. I mean, these are salespeople. They know how people interact. They know how they can read body language. They can hear your tone.
Yep.
Hide it. You really got to want it, and they'll see it.
I love that, man. Yeah. And again, that you got more than one offer, that's huge, right? When I talk to people, they're just trying to die to get one offer. When you can say you got more than one offer, that's incredible. So again, congratulations. Sounds like you definitely crushed it. Now, to get those offers, right, just digging even deeper, like what were some of the strategies you did? Like for me, it was the Excel sheet, right? It was reaching out to all these people. It was making the business plan. That's what I felt made me stand out when I went through this interview process. Can you give us some of maybe the tips that you did that made you stand out when you were going through this interview process compared to the other people that you were going up against?
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing that you did with the Excel sheet and reaching out to, how many people you reach out to, man? That was
3,000 is over 3,000 people is what I reached out to in about 5.5 months.
My goodness, that is crazy. When I heard you say that the first time, that really put a light bulb in my head. So I actually did a similar thing to you, just because I wanted to understand the industry. And I think people could never knock someone that wants to do more work
and just wants to learn. Yeah,
exactly. And so I reached out to over a couple hundred, and I got in contact and got phone calls with about 40 different reps.
Love that.
And I think the biggest thing for me was that not just getting, the 40 reps when I was telling the interviewees, talking about how I was reaching out across the sales force between the different companies, learning about the industry, was telling them what I actually learned and how I understood everything in terms of the lifestyle, in terms of the drive that's needed, so that they know I'm prepared. They're not going to have to when they bring me on board, worry about, will he be able to adjust to the lifestyle? Is he a hard worker? I know this. I've heard this from the reps, and um, I, I'm ready to go. I'm not going to have to go through a whole onboarding period where I'm trying to figure out, why do I have to wake up for this, or
Yep.
why do I have to study this like for the 10th time? Because I've heard it, and if I didn't hear the right thing, honestly, if I didn't hear something from the reps that I was talking to, I would be honest, and maybe I wouldn't be in this place. But after hearing exactly what the lifestyle is like, after hearing exactly what this job entails, it just wanted me to. I wanted it more.
Yep.
I kind of just described that with the interviews. So definitely the networking aspect, and another thing too is with the networking aspect that I learned too is that you've got to you got to be willing to learn. I think a lot of the times people will message around, but it's like they're messaging around for help, but it's more like they kind of just want things handed to them.
100%. Yep. They want that handout.
Yeah. People will think that, oh, I'm going out of my way to message you for help. He'll probably just give me a job. Oh yeah, I know this guy. Yeah, here's a job. Here's an interview. No, it's not like that. You really gotta push, and that's why you gotta talk to a lot of people, because it just takes one. It just takes one opportunity. One manager's that's like, okay, I'll take a chance on you. You know what? You got it. You might not have this or this, but I think we can mold you to a good rep. So it's kind of a numbers game, but you need to make the most out of those phone calls, because these reps are taking the time out of their day when they could be game planning for the next surgeon or the next case. So that comes down to networking, work ethic, and really taking the time to understand the industry, and just you really gotta want it. I think that's it. Drive is something that you can't teach. It's not something that you can go to Target and buy an extra pack for the next week. I guess you can buy coffee, but that's you might be excited, and that's something else. That's not the right energy. But yeah, you really gotta want it, and the biggest thing, these people can read it. It's not like you can't fake it. And that's I've heard from you. I've heard from a lot of other people, and that might mean you have to, while at dinner, you might have to be listening to podcasts instead of watching the MLB or NFL game. You might need to be, while you're taking a shower, listening to a podcast instead of, maybe, I don't know. All right, you don't have to do that. But what I'm saying is that you really gotta find ways to really prepare and give it all you got, because when you get these interview opportunities, they're not going to come back every year and ask you if you want to interview again. You get an interview opportunity. If you don't take it and you don't show them what you got this one time, that's it. You're not going to have a chance probably with the ever again. Unless I mean, I guess they could, but I mean, after they've seen it one time, they're usually not going to give you another chance. They're going to find somebody else.
Well, even if they do give it to you another chance, it's probably a year or two from now when that other person didn't work out, so it would take way more time.
Exactly. So you really gotta put all you got into it and make the best of the time. That's why networking really helps, and the work ethic aspect. But yeah,
I love that, man. And you're so right. Everything you said is 100% true. And I tell people, right, when I was coming in, I reached out to so many people to separate myself, like you said, right? Nobody was going to touch my numbers. Nobody was going to spend the 8 hours to make the business plans that I did, right? Like, you have to want it so much. And I sacrificed. And I'm a type A. When I do something, I'm 1,000% in. I'm like almost psycho to the level I'll go to be successful. And they see that, right? And they knew, like, my managers that all offered me the job said, we know we're not even questioning if you're going to make an impact. We know you will, right? And they see the same thing in you. And what you just said at the beginning of when we started talking about this, about when you're reaching out to the reps, this is what I say a million times, but the reps are your key, because they're going to tell you everything you need to know. They're going to tell you the good part of the job, the bad part of the job. They're going to tell you how much money you can make, how much you might not make. They're going to tell you what your best products are, what your worst products are. They're going to tell you who the competitors are, what the market share is. They are your cheat sheet. And if this is a job you want to do, why would you not talk to the person who's going to tell you exactly what your life is going to be like? So that's a great point. That's why you want to be reaching out to these reps. And then also, like you said, when you are talking to these reps, my job as a rep is to teach. I teach doctors, I teach scrub techs, I teach nurses, right? We want to teach. That is part of the job. So if you can come in and you're new and you want to learn, we're happy to tell you. And that's why I do this podcast. I want to teach people that are willing to learn. But like you said, when you come in and you're just looking for a grab, a handout, we can tell that as well too, because we're salespeople, right? And so if you are that person listening to this podcast right now and you're like, hey, I'm doing what I need to, I'm reaching out to people, but you're just doing it halfway or you're doing it selfishly to be like, I still get messages that are people like, hey, do you know of any jobs you can refer me to? Be like, and again, I'm always nice and I'm respectful when I'm like, no, I don't know any. But here's really what's going on in my mind. Why would I give you a job? Why would I tell you a job? That's your job to figure out if there's a job opening. And that's really what these most reps think about. So I love that you went there, man, that you talked about. Again, it's your drive, but when you are coming out, it's exactly what I used to say. I always asked the rep what I could learn from them, and also being curious, because that's what taught me the difference between trauma and capital and orthopedics and GYN. It taught me all the different regions by talking to all these people and being able to fit what lifestyle I would like or how much money I could make, and all the good and the bad that would come with it as well.
100%. I like that. I like that a lot, Jacob.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. So again, Jonathan, that's an amazing advice what you're giving. And again, we're just so excited to have someone with your drive. Again, you guys, if you're listening to this, again, this is a dude who's not even out of college, who had got multiple job offers with top medical device companies, right? And you can hear the energy, the difference when you're hearing him talk. And that's what I always tell people when you're going up into these interviews. Would you want to go up against Jonathan? Would you want to go up against me? And that's not a knock on us or to you. It's really, we're the people getting the job offers, right? That's what you have to beat out. And so that's why I always tell people, I just said this 3 times this week to people who called me. It's, would you want to go up against you in a job interview? Like if we're going to the end of it, have you researched as many people that I did? Did you reach out to as many people? Did you have 8 people calling the manager that final week telling them to vote for Jacob? Did you have it doing for that to you? Like, are you doing the above and beyond to show why you're the right candidate? And that's a hard question to ask, because you really got to face yourself, because if you're not getting those job offers and you're not getting the job interviews. So this is some like soul searching when we're doing that. But Jonathan, now getting into that final part, man, like if you could talk to anybody that's going to reach out, because people will reach out, they'll see this video, they'll be like, man, Jonathan's a driven dude. I want to talk to him. I want to figure out what's in his brain, which you've already shared, right? But they think there's going to be some extra that they can find. What advice would you give to someone who is hungry? They're trying to break in. Maybe they're in college, maybe they're out of college, maybe they have sales experience, maybe they don't. What can they do that you feel would help them get a job interview, land a job? What would your advice be to those people?
Well, the first thing I think is you've got to make sure that you know what you're getting into, because you could go into all this and you might get on a call with the rep and realize this might not be it. So make sure this is what you want to get into. And then if this is what you want to get into, make sure to go to the extra mile with everything, not just maybe reaching out to reps or doing homework on an area. Everything you do, making a business plan, like you said, finding out everything you can about the industry or the company that you're going to, every single thing. It comes down to every single detail, because when these managers are interviewing you, they're gonna push you. They're really gonna challenge you, because they know how it is when you're working with surgeons and doctors. They don't care who you are. They don't care what company you work for. If you're not ready to go, they're not going to work with you, because these are high risk, high expensive, very just big cases that they need to work on. They need someone that they can trust. So if you want it, then really go for it. You've got to show your drive, no matter how it is. You've got to sacrifice, and you got to realize that this might be your only chance. Have that mindset. This is your only chance. Imagine that. I don't know a great analogy, but like this is your last chance to get something on, your last chance to cross the finish line. And if you don't get it, they're closing the gates or something like that. That's
Yeah. Leave no stone unturned is really what you're saying. And that was something I always said. Don't leave any stone unturned. And here's a good way to think of it. You're talking about an analogy, if I can help out a little bit, is this is a job that's going to make you over 6 figures.
right.
You're going to be in the 1%, the top 10% of what Americans make. right? This is your chance for it. Now, if you want to be in the top 10% of what Americans make, you got to do what the top 10% of people would do. You can't be like the 90% because that's not good enough.
100%. You've got to, if you want a job that's in the top 10%, you've got to work like someone that's in the top 10%. You see people with all these great titles and all these great jobs, but you don't know what they put in. But you've got to do what they did to get to where they are. You can't just look at that title and, oh, wow, I wish I was there. Well, okay, do it. Like, this is your chance. So yeah, don't leave any stones unturned. That's a great thing. Yeah, you've got to show your drive in every single aspect, doing your research. I would get the book that you have. I think $20 for an investment in a job, in a career that could set you for life. I mean, my goodness, that's a great deal. I mean, you do a lot of great research, and that's 5, 6, 8 a year's worth of research in a book that could really set you up. So that's another part of the drive. You've got to tap into every resource possible to make sure that you do all you can to present to these managers that I'm the candidate. It doesn't matter that there's 100 other candidates, 200 other candidates. I'm the one. They're competing against me. So
I love that, Jonathan. That you hit the nail on the head right there, man. You are the one, right? When you're coming to that, you almost have to have that chip on the shoulder. Is like, and that was a chip I always told people, right? That's why I make the comment of, would you want to go up against you in an interview, right? I knew I wasn't competing with other reps. I was competing with me when I went into the interview process. Hey, how can I show why I'm the best one? And these guys, they're not going to match what I can bring in. And again, there's a cockiness, there's a confidence. That's the athlete in me, right? But I'll be real, as you know, and as you're going to find out, when you're dealing with high-end doctors doing over millions of dollars worth of volume, you're dealing with some egos, and you got to be able to control a room. You got to be able to take some and give some, so like they want to see that when you're going into these interviews as well, because like I try to tell everybody, medical device sales is amazing, but it's not sunshine and rainbows all the time. There's some times it gets pretty intense. There's names getting called and you're having to de-escalate situations, or you have to step up to the plate and you have to come in. So again, you have to be a certain type of person that can be the most genuine person and nice, but also be able to perform really well under a high stress situation and get results, even though it may not look so great in the room at the time. So again, Jonathan, that's great advice, man. And again, we just want to say thank you for coming on. I have no doubt in my mind after talking with you today that you're going to come in, you're going to make an impact, and it's only a matter of time before we start seeing your name all over, because dude, you're a driven man. I'm so excited and so honored to have you on my podcast, and just want to say again, congratulations on not just landing your dream job, but getting multiple job offers and not being out of college. Because honestly, I've never heard of that before. So congratulations.
thank you. I hope this is I could be a small spark or an inspiration for anyone that's in college that has aspirations, or no matter what walk of life you're in right now, even if you're 40 trying to break in. Take that opportunity, take that chance, show your drive, do the research, and go for it.
I love it. Jonathan, can they find you anywhere if they want to reach out to you and talk with you, or just get to know you a little more if they have questions?
For sure. You can follow me on or connect with me on LinkedIn. It's just my name, Jonathn, Jonathan Shyy, Shyy. I guess you could add me on Instagram. I don't really use it too much, but it's just my name with a period between the first and last name, so Jonathan.Shyy. But other than that, yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm an open book, and yeah. Thanks.
Awesome, man. Again, Jonathan, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, and so excited for you, man. So thank you for jumping on today's podcast. Appreciate you. And for everyone listening, if you haven't, please press that like and subscribe button. If you guys are watching on YouTube, if you guys are listening to the podcast, if you can leave us a 5-star review, that just helps us grow and reach more people. And like Jonathan mentioned, if you guys are interested, I do have that ebook. It's at newtomedicaldevicesales.com. I will link it into the show notes as well. And again, it's just me sharing my experience. I list everything that I did to break into the industry, with my adding every message that I sent to surgeons, showing what I saw in the interview process, looking at questions that I asked, putting my 30, 60, 90-day plan, including my whole business plan outline, everything I did for you guys. And so my goal with that is just to help as many people. So if you guys are interested in picking that up, again, go check out newtomedicaldevicesales.com. But again, we always appreciate you hopping on, listening to me and my guest go on and just helping you land your dream job. And until next time, I hope you have a fantastic week and keep working towards your goals. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.